Today on the Diz List, we talk about the top 5 things you need to know before you go to Walt Disney World.
Welcome to the Diz List, the podcast list, everything in Walt Disney World. I'm Nick.
And I'm Rob, and today I'm doing my best because I am recovering from a little bit of a cold. Now, I saw you yesterday, and I was perfectly fine. And magically, not the kind of Disney magic, but the evil magic, I woke up this morning and I sounded like my voice was going through the grinder. So I think it'll get better because I remember in the past when we've done an episode where my voice has been not great. By the time we get like a quarter of the way in, it just sounds normal again. Same thing with teaching. We just have to blast through. So those of you watching us on YouTube, if you're not, please subscribe to us on YouTube. But I'm going to be drinking lots of tea and water and coffee. I have a little bit of everything. So I apologize for the scratchy voice, but I'm still going. We're going hard. So that's a little update for me. And that's why I kind of sound like sandpaper throat.
So World of Disney this week, news wise, what have you got for our listeners? Any big updates?
Man, it has been a crazy week for me. I truly have not really even looked. I'm going to tell you the truth. Like all week has been between family stuff. My birthday was Friday. Yesterday we did our Thanksgiving with our group of friends. So I have not been able to slow down at all. And today I get a nice big gap of time where I can kind of unwind a little bit. And before our Bills game, we're recording on a Sunday. So that's why I'm saying all of this, but you may have something. I'm kind of out of the loop right now. So
I got
usually
yelled at.
I apologize. I'm usually really prepared for this.
Yeah. I got yelled at this week. Did you remember me telling you this?
Yes. This is really our kind of funny. It's good news. It's a really good problem to have. So Nick came to see me in my classroom and he's like, so I got yelled at. And I was like, oh, by our boss? And he's like, nope, better. I'm like, better? He's like, well, it was a good thing. So I'm just going to give you the lead in and you can take it from there.
Yeah.
How did you and why did you get yelled at this week? This is great.
Well, as it turns out, Spotify recognizes that we have a lot of listens and we have a lot of hours that people have put in. And it was like, you have fewer followers on Spotify than you're supposed to have with the amount of listens you have. Podcasts that have as many listens as you should have double your followers. So here's the thing. I think it's funny because obviously I never look at our numbers as far as followers there. I look at our numbers as far as how the episode does, but I don't look at followers. I don't think of that kind of stuff. I rarely follow podcasts because it's just once I listen, it's in my recents and it's just there. You know what I mean? So I don't even think about it. But if you are a listener who doesn't follow us on Spotify, would you do me a favor and get Spotify off my back? Because
such a funny problem to have.
Every time I sign in, it yells at me.
Too popular for
the number of followers. I was like, what is going on here? That's weird. But yeah, that was a funny one.
So I know you said it. Can you go back over it again? So if listeners could go to Spotify.
Yeah, on Spotify, you have to go to our podcast and
what if you don't have a subscription? Can you still go into Spotify and do this? I think you can.
Yeah, because you don't have to have premium to do it. Yeah, you can do it no matter what. So
go in, find our podcast.
Hit the little plus sign next to us.
Click the plus sign at the top.
Yeah, I mean, while you're at it, you can sign into YouTube, do the same thing. But
right,
I've signed in twice this week, and it yelled at me both times that we don't have enough followers for for as many listens as we have. And it gives you a prediction of what you should have for followers, and it's probably about double what our numbers actually are. So I thought it was kind of funny.
And the hard thing to track too, and if you're listening to us, you're probably on. I mean, we do those little clips on Instagram and TikTok and
the
YouTube Shorts, but I would say most people. Actually, I really don't know. I couldn't even say. I don't know if most people are watching us on YouTube or listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. There's Stitcher. There's a couple other podcasts.
Yeah, I don't know.
But it's interesting because this is not anything Nick and I have really analyzed much.
Right. Yeah.
Like it's a good thing when we hear the feedback. Oh, you guys are too popular. It's great.
Right.
You know, we just truly try to do good quality content for everybody every week, and we appreciate people listening and our patrons, and so
yeah,
that we're thankful for getting an angry message that we're too popular.
I've never in my life been like, what the, I don't know, that was just funny to me. So
that was great.
We also this week I finally solidified, because I could have, coming up this week I could switch my resort stay. Okay. We're coming up
and
on
what
that.
Is it now?
Right now we're at Poly.
Okay.
And we discussed it, and we kind of solidified that we're going to stay at Poly. The kids really want to do the Poly, and they don't want to do a split stay. So we're going to do that. Probably do Boardwalk next year. If we can get in there. It's hard to get into Boardwalk at 7 months. That's an issue. But
why?
Just because it's so popular. It's a popular resort that you can walk to two different parks from. And then
sounded like I was attacking you. Why?
No.
As soon as it came out of my mouth, I'm like, oh man, this cold is totally changing my inflection too. I'm like trying to start a fight. Why, Nick? Come on.
The other thing that it that we solidified too is we decided we are going to do a after hours event at Hollywood Studios.
Cool.
So that'll be fun. Yeah.
Great.
I'm excited to do that. That'll be a good time, I think.
Those are scheduled already? Or you're just going to do one while you're there? Oh, great.
They are. Yeah.
Cool.
So like it's on I think it's Wednesday that you can buy the tickets for it.
Great.
Two things that will accomplish. One, it will mean that I'm not racing through a hot as the surface of the sun Hollywood Studios to try to finish it up quickly in the morning. Yeah. And it will also allow me to be there for the nighttime. We haven't decided exactly, because you can get in before the event starts. So it's not like Jollywood Nights or something like that where it's really special, but it's still an after hours event. So I think we might do Phantasmic in there. I'm not positive. I know you wish, because you have not.
I've tried it every time.
Yeah, I get it.
Well, I will tell you this. The last time when we were there in August, Mandy and I went with, that's my wife. My wife and I went with Ear Scouts Rob, and he kind of took us around at night. And you and I have been, not very vocal. I don't think that's a good way to say it. That Hollywood Studios has been our least favorite park. And to be fair, listeners, we get it. We love all 4 Disney parks. It's hard to say, that's literally what we do here is we rank stuff, right? So it's number 4 for both of us, but in no way do we not like the park. There's so much good stuff that we love there. But just when we rank it, that's kind of the way it works. But the last time we went there at night, even though it kind of rained for part of the time, it was really nice. I liked it the way that the lights kind of glow on Hollywood Boulevard there, and seeing Galaxy's Edge and Toy Story Land at night was really nice, because you and I both will go hard in the morning, get it over with because it gets really hot, and then we go. I think maybe it might be a good plan to go early, take a big break, and then come back. What do you think?
We might do that.
Really nice.
We might do that. We might also, because it's a hard ticket event, we might just skip that day and not do anything that day and just do the night.
Do a pool day or something.
Yeah. I'm also considering trying to go back to Brown Derby and give it a second chance. I'm considering that, but we'll see.
Why did you get some messages?
I got a few.
I figured. There's some people love it, and I haven't been there, so I can't weigh in, but I'd like to at some point.
Yeah. So what I think we should do now is we're going to head off to the halftime show, right? And when we get back, we're going to give everybody our top 5 things you need to do or need to know before you go.
Before you go.
We've actually done one of these before, but it's never a bad idea to update, because like all things Disney, it changes a lot and changes quickly. So
and if there was a Disney podcast I listened to and they were to do this, it's always interesting just to hear what people have to say.
Yep. So we'll head off to the halftime show, and we'll see you right after this. Welcome back. We're going to talk about our top 5 things that you need to know before you go. There's a lot of stuff that we could have on this list. I'm sure that many of our listeners are going to be saying, "Oh, you forgot this," and it's so difficult to do a top 5 of this stuff. But
Yeah,
these are the things that came to our minds. We were mentioning last night, when we were talking to our friends about Disney, how much Disney changes, and that's why we can do a podcast for 178 episodes.
yes, that's true.
So why don't you go ahead and get it kicked off here?
My first one, I'm going to use going to Disneyland and California Adventure as my example for this, and it's know the map. So if you've been there before, this may not be as hard for you, but if this is your first time going to Walt Disney World, I would highly recommend you go on to, we'll talk about this later too, is the Disney World app, also called My Disney Experience. And you can click on that map and zoom in. Before I went to Disneyland and California Adventure, I spent a couple weeks for real memorizing the map. I would zoom in, learn where everything was. Not everything. That's not fair, though. I kind of wanted to know where the paths were, where all the rides were located, because it's slightly different than it is in Orlando. I didn't memorize everything, like snack carts and where all the different restaurants are, because a lot of the restaurants we weren't going to. But I wanted to kind of know where all the things were located and how it was different. So one thing I like to do is memorize the map. And the reason for this is it saves you a lot of time. Once you walk into the Magic Kingdom and you're like, okay, how do I get to Haunted Mansion from here? And you need to know which part of the spoke, because the middle of the park is set up like a wheel, and there's like spokes off of the center of the wheel there. Okay, which way do I go? Do I go Adventureland there, or do I have to go through this area? This is Liberty Square. So the best thing to do is just become kind of generally familiar. You don't have to memorize it like a crazy person like me, but it's good to just kind of know, okay, Tomorrowland is if we walk in and we go to the right. Adventureland is walk in and you go to the left. Like all those things are going to save you time when, Tommy or Susie says, I want to go ride Tron. You know to walk in and go to the right and not walk in and go to the left and go the wrong way. So my number 5, and I know you agree with me on this too, is, and you also know how crazy I am with memorizing the maps. My number 5 is know the map.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really important that you know how to get around, because those parks can be confusing for sure. I think the one park for me that still confuses me is Animal Kingdom. Like I get lost there all the time. But
I would agree. Truthfully, the hardest part for me is the area kind of in Asia and in Africa, the areas in the back, kind of where you can do the hiking trails. And I think I've gotten pretty good at finding where to get to Planet Watch now, but it took me a while to really understand where everything was, because those trails are kind of hard, and the like foliage, I guess, I don't know what words to use.
Everything looks the same. There's not really a good landmarks back there.
It's very, and if you've gotten lost there, I would say I'm pretty much an expert at navigating, and I've even been confused. Like, wait a minute, hold on, where are we? But what you can do if that happens and you're at the parks, if you have your location services turned on whatever phone you have, and you go into the app and you zoom in, it'll show you where you are. And then from there, you can navigate and figure out where to go. So if you're one of those people, and I've met a lot of people like this before saying, I get totally lost, I'm confused, I don't have a good sense of direction, have the map ready on your phone at the same time. Look it over so you kind of have an idea of where everything is, and then have that ready if you need it. So, I mean, like I said, I'm a crazy person. I'll memorize the whole thing, but yeah. So what do you have for number 5, Nick?
Mine is knowing event calendars. Okay, because
good idea.
Like I just talked about how we're going to an after hours event, right? If like for ours, it's not like one of those ones like Jollywood Nights that'll close down the park early, but there are those kinds of events that close down a park early, and so you want to know what events are going on. You want to pay attention to that. Likewise, you also want to know what festivals and stuff are going on, because like Epcot during a festival on the weekends is tough because it's a locals heavy park, and then the festivals are really meant to draw in that local crowd. So knowing your event calendar is super important. If you go and you don't know that like it's Food and Wine, or you go and you don't know that Mickey's Not So Scary is closing down the park at 4:00, and you plan a Magic Kingdom day that day and you got a late start, you didn't rope drop, you're not getting done everything you wanted to do. The good news is that Nowadays, like they don't require you to say which park you're going to. Like back when you had to tell them in advance, like this is the park I want to go to on that day, that was a little bit tougher. You really needed to know. But now you could make a plan to switch. But if you don't have park hoppers, you show up at Epcot and you get in there and it's super crowded because it's Saturday and it's the opening day of Food and Wine. That could be a problem. If you're, going into Magic Kingdom and they're reopening Big Thunder, or they're doing some sort of a new whatever they're doing, because they could have an event going on of a new ride opening up, or like the day I was there that Country Bears was doing previews. Those things can change how you can do your parks. So knowing your event calendars and what's going on at the parks is super important.
Well, I also made my plans around that for my trip after Christmas here. We wanted to make sure that we were there during Festival of the Holidays, because during the time we're there, it'll be past Festival of the Holidays. It'll be over. So we wanted to make sure that we booked one of the days that we would be able to go and experience that. And my wife and I have done it. We loved it. The kids haven't, so they really wanted to see it and experience it too. So we changed our plans around a little bit just so we could catch the tail end of that. So
makes sense.
Know the calendar for that too.
Yep.
My number 4 it's a big one for me. I probably should have put this higher. Now that I'm looking at it, it's number 4, and it's prep for weather. And in Orlando, you could be roasting, you can fry an egg on the sidewalk, and then 5 minutes later, it's raining so hard that it's like pelting your arm and you feel like you're about to be bruised. It's raining so hard. And then the temperature changes so fast. So not only do you need to be ready for it being really hot, you have to be ready for it being rainy. So you might want to bring a raincoat with you. You might want to bring a change of shoes. One time we got rained on so bad, my son's poor sneakers were like soaking wet, and we were trying to find Crocs for him and we couldn't find Crocs. So one of our things is we'll bring a backpack. This is all kind of part of the same answer for no before you go. Bring a backpack with things like Crocs or flip-flops or things for your kid to change into. Crocs can dry out, and I've worn Crocs to the parks whenever it rains. It's not my favorite because once you wear the Croc, your foot will like slip around inside it, even if it is the right size for you. So it's not really great when they get wet. I mean, how else are you going to dry them out? So bring some kind of backup footwear. Bring like a small raincoat or a poncho to put in your backpack. And last but not least, my family is known for I'm cold. So whenever we go in or out of an attraction, whether it's 100 degrees, we go into the air conditioning, they're immediately freezing. So they also have to prepare with, I bring like a long sleeve t-shirt that I give my daughter and she puts that on. My family, not me, are very, very sensitive to temperatures. So I know that was a long one, but it's a lot to say and a lot to prep for. Know your family, know how they're affected by temperatures and rain.
Yeah, I would suggest, by the way, we're not associated with these people. I'm wearing one today though. Roosevelt's is having a sale right now for Black Friday and Cyber Monday. They have the performance hoodies there, and those are perfect for Florida, where you can, because they're thin, but they're enough to keep the chill off when you go into those restaurants and stores that are super cold. But it's also thin enough that if you went outside, like going from one place to the next, it wouldn't make you wouldn't be dying of the heat. So check those out. I think you can probably find some patterns that your kids would like.
Good call. I might get one myself.
Yes. So my number 4 is knowing transportation. So know what transportation is available at the place you're going to. Know what time those transportation types are running, right?
Or how frequently.
How frequently. Yeah. When you're at Animal Kingdom and you think, well, I'm staying at Animal Kingdom Lodge, I can't wait to go over to Animal Kingdom, the park. It's gonna be so close. It's not. It's still a ride. You still have to wait for your bus. Being aware of like what is the Skyliner's schedule. Kind of like what I said with the event calendar too. Like the Skyliner shuts down for refurbishments at times, so you've got to be aware of that.
Good
so
call.
you want to know your transportation. You want to know like what's the bus situation, when does it run, when can I get to Disney Springs, when can I get over to Magic Kingdom? Should I take a boat to Magic Kingdom? Like if I'm staying at the Poly, should I walk to the TTC and take a boat? Should I take one of the friendship boats? Like all of those things are super important to know before you go, because kind of like your first tip that you said would save you time, this will save you time as well. So knowing transportation, knowing their schedule, and knowing which types service which resorts is super important.
I'll just add on one little bit to that, is know where they go. So know that the Skyliner will go from Hollywood Studios to Art of Animation and oh gosh, I always forget the name of the one that's across the water from it.
Pop Century.
It's Pop Century. Thank you. And then that goes over to Caribbean Beach, also Riviera, goes to Epcot. So just kind of know where you can go on the Skyliner, because I've heard of people saying before, well, I'll just get on the Skyliner and go over to Animal Kingdom. Well, maybe someday that'll work.
Yeah.
The Skyliner doesn't always go where you think it's going to go. Same with monorail. I'll take the monorail over to Animal Kingdom. You can't do that either. It only goes back and forth between the resorts, Magic Kingdom, and Epcot, and that's really it. So another thing too is kind of learn that. When friend of mine, shout out to my friend Ryan V, who's our chef friend, he's going again, and he wanted to stay at the beach club, but wanted to know how he could get to the different places. And we told him that was actually a really good resort to stay at, because if you're at the beach club, you have access to the Skyliner really easy. And if you have park hoppers, you have to walk through Epcot in order to get over to Magic Kingdom. So there's all these, if you're new to it.
You don't have to, but that's a cool way.
You don't have to. Right,
yeah.
right.
It's a very cool way to do it. Yeah.
We were explaining to him that's a good place to be. It's kind of centrally located, but there's all these little like asterisks, like, well, you have to have a park hopper in order to walk through Epcot to get on the monorail to take you over, or take a bus. And that's
I would say, I'll tell you, transportation over at Beach Club is really, really good. When I stayed there, that's the best part about it, is that the bus schedule was really good. It seemed like we were on priority. I don't know, maybe that's not true, but it's like we were the buses were coming in and out really quickly. The options you have to get to Hollywood Studios and Epcot are numerous. Epcot you can walk, but you can also take like this nice little boat ride over. It takes you down the little channel there. That's kind of a cool way. But yeah, I love that place, and I love the transportation there. So what do you got for number 3?
Number 3, an important thing to know is that your table service is not always a walk-up situation. It can be. It can be, but for example, we're going in a month, and I just went online and booked my dining the other day. I talked to my kids. I said, where do you like to eat? What places do you like to eat in Magic Kingdom or Epcot? And they kind of gave me a list. I ended up, shockingly, I booked Skipper Canteen again because I love it. And it's fine. Like, I'll eat there every single time I go. Part of my trip is I got to include the kids, so that they're happy and they're doing what they want to do. So we booked that again, but you can, I want to be very clear about this. You can walk up. Let's use Skipper Canteen as an example, because I've done.
Yeah, I've done a walk up there.
We did it in August. We didn't have a reservation. Walked up, was able to do it. But if you're there at a busy time, like I'm going to be there Christmas time, New Year's, Thanksgiving, 4th of July, winter break, depending on when your winter break is, you may not be able to do that. So what I would recommend is you book your ticket ahead of time, and then go in and then do your reservations in advance, and you can even change and cancel them. So you might as well just do it. You have nothing to lose, right?
Right.
You know more about this than I do. You do way more table service than we do.
Yeah. I mean, to me, if you're not making reservations when you go there, you're just setting yourself up for disappointment, because the restaurants that have availability for a walk up readily tend to be having that availability for a reason.
Yeah. Right.
Now, that's not always the case. I mean, but like you might find yourself having to dine at a place that's not the greatest in the first place. I think that Skipper Canteen is one where you sometimes can find availability, not because of what it's like, but because I think a lot of people forget that it's there. Yeah. I think that a lot of people forget that restaurant in a sea of other restaurants that might have characters or be more kid friendly. Not that it's not kid friendly, but kid friendly as in like, Winnie the Pooh walking around and stuff like that. So
it's just a really full area. There's a lot going on, and you can walk by it.
You can walk right by it and not even know it. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's my 3. What's your 3?
My 3 is actually also about dining. Okay. Because it's super important that you also are paying attention to the menu. So you talked about, like, I asked my kids, if you know your kids are only going to eat chicken fingers, you need to know that like some restaurants might not have them. Most restaurants have chicken fingers, right?
Yeah.
But like for instance, I eat seafood. My daughter eats seafood. My wife's okay with seafood. My son is a hard pass on anything seafood. So like going to the boathouse, like, okay, he still has stuff to eat because there's steaks and stuff on the menu. But if I go to a different restaurant, if I went to the one, I always forget the name of it, the one that's in the aquarium, which is so weird, but it's the one it's over in the Seas Pavilion. But like here's the thing. They only serve,
I can't think of it.
They serve only fish, only seafood. So you're sitting looking at the fish, eating the, I think it's kind of morbid, but like they like, it's, if any place should have a chicken dish, it's there. But like also if you want to be a little bit more adventurous, you know, you want to look at that menu ahead of time too, and look at costs, because cost is a part of it. Knowing your budget and go and look at that menu. You don't want to find yourself being like, oh, I'm going to have a good burger, and I hear that there's a really good burger at Le Cellier, and you go to Le Cellier for lunch, and yeah, they've got a good burger, and it's going to be costing you $30, you know, or thinking that you're going to just get any small little sushi roll at California Grill. Like, it doesn't work that way. It's prefixed. So knowing your menu, knowing how, knowing what it's going to cost, and knowing what type of food it is. Because if you have been to California Grill before, when it was not prefix, and you show up and you're like, oh, I got reservations at California Grill, and you go up there and all of a sudden you're paying the prefix menu, and that's what you get. Like, that could be really disappointing. Same thing with like Space 220. Everybody's like, oh, I want to go to Space 220. Look at the menu, because it's prefix. That's why I'm not going to go there. So yeah, that's my thing, is knowing the menus and paying attention to that stuff.
Or food allergies too.
Food allergies too. That's a big one, especially with your family. Yes, absolutely. But nobody got sick yesterday, right? There was no cross contamination yesterday from our friends.
Everybody, and I appreciate that. Is your family and Mark and Renee, they wouldn't mind us giving them a shout out. I know they listen to. They did a great job with just making sure that everything was not cross contaminated and gluten free for the crew and our family. So shout out to Mark and Renee for having us over and having a great little thing. So
yeah, it was great.
Yep, it was great.
So what do you got? Number two,
we experienced this in August. We were kind of walking around at the end of the night, and we said, we haven't watched Happily Ever After. That's the current one, right? I'm not good at knowing the names of them. You are. Yeah. So we said, my wife's like, let's go watch the fireworks. Why not? So we walked kind of into the area in front of the castle there, trying to walk around and find a spot, because the hard part is everyone is kind of already gathered in these areas, and you're stuck. And then another thing is they have the cast members moving everybody through, and they're like, okay, can't stand here. We got to keep this lane open. We finally found a spot. We're like, yes, here's a spot. And like, we stood there, and there's a tree blocking our view of the castle. Eventually we ended up kind of settling in a spot where it was half blocked by a tree. We could see the fireworks in the air, but we couldn't see half of the castle. So my point is, if you know that a family member that you're going with, or maybe it's just you want to see the nighttime show, get there early enough that you have a decent spot. And it's a good way to just unwind at the end of the night and just sit, relax, and talk. And then you have that to kind of a nice way to end your evening. But don't just assume there's going to be spots, because I would consider myself knowing, I wouldn't say an expert, but I know Disney pretty well. And even I thought, oh, I can get something. No. And it was just like a random weekday, and in the summer when it's generally not super crowded, and there's no way.
If you find yourself in that situation that Rob found himself in, though, I would say that you're not going to be disappointed if you go further down Main Street and stand in the middle of the street, because when you go further down, you also get to see the projections on the Main Street buildings.
Yeah.
You're not going to see the castle projections as well, but You're going to see the other projections even better. So, that would be my recommendation if for some reason you end up like in that situation. But yeah, knowing those schedules, and not just fireworks, parades get filled up quickly.
The
any
kind of show, like show, all of that.
Yeah, all those things. I've never seen front to back a stage show. Like, I'll see them if I'm walking through the the hub, but I don't think I've ever stopped and watched a stage show.
We did once. I mean, it's fine. I mean, my kids liked it. It was when the kids are really into Frozen, and
So
we watched it.
I mean,
we just don't like to stand in the direct sun and bake.
And bake.
We're very sensitive to well, all of us are very sensitive to light and heat. We're all redheads, so
yeah. You got to make sure you've got your UV index up to date on your
and we reapply
phone.
too. All right, I'm talking too much here. I'm
No,
gonna move
you're good.
you
You're good.
on
I
to
got
number
you.
2.
Yeah, number 2. So my number 2, okay, is know ahead of time what you're going to do, right? This sounds obvious, but the number of people that I have interacted with who really and truly are going to Disney on a whim, and it's
to
like,
see Harry Potter.
Well, that's the kind of stuff too. I mean, like, but those are the same kind of people. But for real, like, if you don't know what you're going to do, if you don't know your plan, you're gonna regret it. Knowing your plan and knowing what you're planning to do will help you accomplish those things, and it will also help you to limit. Right? It will help you to be able to say, we're not going to be able to do that. You guys know, for instance, you're going and you have 2 days. You aren't going to be able to go see the animals at Animal Kingdom, right? You're not going to be able to do everything.
A short trip. It's a family trip, to be honest. We're going to see Orlando family and just squeeze in a couple of days.
Right. So, I mean, like, knowing those things and knowing your plan and knowing what and how your trip is going to go really will make it so that's first of all, much more relaxing, because you're not going to be stressed out that you can't get to this and you can't get to that, because you already knew that going in that you couldn't do it. Right. So knowing your plan, and you don't have to stick to the plan, right? You can make adjustments to the plan. I'm not saying that Disney's got to be all structured, but you definitely need to know what you plan to do. So that way, like you say, I want to know my plan because I want to know, can I get those reservations at Skipper Canteen, or do I have to, or should I be making reservations at Yak and Yeti, or should I be making reservations not in a park because I might not end up being able to go into the park that day. So those are things that are important, because if you don't know your plan, like, I've known people who didn't realize that having a reservation at a restaurant didn't mean they could go in to the park. It just meant they had a reservation. And so like, they went to Magic Kingdom, but they had reservations at Le Cellier or, over in Epcot, and they're out of luck. They can't go. And I know that happens. I've been behind people in line when it's happened, and I've talked to people who that's happened too. Yeah. So knowing your plan is super important. So you can, knowing your plan will help you plan, if that makes sense. But yeah, that's my number 2.
Now, based on what you've said and what I have said, I'm going to guess that we're probably going to overlap on number 1. You can, I mean, just give it away right now.
You go ahead.
Number 1 is the My Disney Experience, the Disney World app. Yes.
Yeah, if you don't know that app, you got it. Yes, 100%. Okay. That's my number 1. Yeah.
Okay, I figured. So we'll kind of we'll end here and we'll tag team this one. There is if you don't have it's a double-edged sword here. A lot of people want to be separate from their phones. They don't want to be on their phone during their trip. I was sort of vocal about that when I went to Disneyland. I was stuck on my phone when we were walking and seeing the castle, but it's kind of become a necessity these days. It's very convenient, but the other hard part too is you have to be prepared with your phone. Make sure you have a backup battery, because you're going to be using this app the entire time. So this is kind of all in one, is prepare with a battery charger, know what's on the Disney app. For example, I'll start with one and then I'll let you kind of go from here, because I this one we use all the time. So we get in line at Pirates of the Caribbean. We're all really hungry. So my wife will open up the app, and it's all connected together. So we can kind of select who is doing what when you're doing lightning lanes, which you can talk about in a second. But if we're in Pirates of the Caribbean and the kids are like, I feel like tacos, we'll open up the app and we'll start a mobile order, and we'll go on the app, we'll click on the restaurant for Pecos Spills, we'll order what we want, and then we can click the button for a time that we know we're going to be off the ride. Once we're off of that ride and it's that time period, then you can hit the button. Even this is kind of a tip here. Make sure you're nearby-ish, and you can hit the button saying we're here. So if I'm getting off Pirates of the Caribbean and I know it's a short
you're
walk
close enough
over,
there. Yeah, you're
close enough. Yeah, it's like a block away, really. So I get off the ride, I say I'm here, even though I'm not. You don't want to do this if you're on the other side of the park. That could be bad. They could say your food's ready, and then, your food is just sitting there getting cold. So you hit I'm there, they start making your food for you. And then right around the time you arrive, maybe a little bit after the time you arrive, you get a table, you get a notification, your food is ready. It's fantastic. And you can even go in and hit gluten-free if you're like us and we have food allergies. So I highly, highly recommend doing that. It saves you a lot of time. So that's one of the most important things to do on the My Disney Experience. You may know it as that. You may just know it as the Disney World app. What do you think is a big important one? And we talked about map too. So map.
Yeah. I mean, the map is there.
Food.
You can actually do directions. Like you can click on a certain spot and say, give me directions. I'll tell you how to get there. We'll show your location on the map. I think the biggest one is lightning lanes, to prep for your day.
What's a lightning lane?
So
I'm just saying, if we have new listeners, I'm not being a jerk.
No, I didn't think that. Lightning lane is what would have been fast passes back in the day. And so it allows you to pass the line, right? In a way, you're still going to probably have to wait a little bit, but not as long. Mm-hmm. So it has changed 3 times, 4 times since I started coming. And I've only been going to Disney for, like 8 years, 7 years, whatever it is now. It changes so frequently. They were fast passes and you got to make 3 ahead of time. Now it's like for free. Yep. Now you have to pay for them and you're not getting them for free. So, and you don't get to do it super early. You have to do it like 7 days if you're staying on property, 3 days if you're off property. It's just a weird, if you don't know the system, like you could lose out. But if you know the system, my gosh, you can knock stuff out quickly. I don't think that, look, we always say that we always direct people here. I don't think you're going to get a better person to explain it to you how to use that app for the lightning lanes than if you go watch Ear Scouts Rob. Like go watch his videos on lightning lanes. But so the lightning lane multi-pass.
That's the one we usually get.
Yeah. You could do a single pass, sure, but that, knowing how to run that app efficiently, one, it's going to help you so you're not glued to your phone, and 2, it's going to help you get more done and accomplish more of your plan. So knowing how to use that app for lightning lanes is super important.
A friend of ours I was talking about earlier, Brian V.
Yeah.
He told me when he goes, he's going to try to get the Premier Pass, and so it's a pretty hefty price tag, and I think that price fluctuates too. So I can't give you an exact price. Yeah. But what that is it gives you one lightning lane. I don't want to say free pass, but for every single ride in the park that has lightning lane, that's another important one too.
Yeah,
because not every ride has it. Every ride that has lightning lane gets you into the lightning lane line. But you said a very good point, is sometimes you're still waiting. So a lot of times when you get in lightning lane, it could be up to like a 25-minute wait, which is, I've waited 25 minutes before.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
When everybody else could be waiting 3 hours. So it's like, what's an example of that is
Rise of the Resistance sometimes has that happen.
Exactly. I was going to say Guardians of the Galaxy is kind of like that too. It takes you a long time just to snake through the whole thing.
Now, Rise isn't part of the lightning lane multi-pass, but if you have your single pass, like you paid to ride that, I've seen times where when Rise has gone down for the day and then it comes back up, everybody who had paid for it is now waiting in that line.
Yeah, just for a long time.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Yeah. I've seen the lightning lane for Mine Train get pretty long. I've seen that. So yeah, I mean, it happens, man. Toy Story, looking at Slinky Dog Dash, that gets long sometimes. The lightning lane. So, but yeah, knowing that app is super important. So, and there's a lot of stuff that we didn't even talk about. Earlier we said menus. Guess what? Those menus are right there. We said transportation. Guess what? It's right there. Even has a thing on it that if you did drive, you can like mark where you parked, and so like it'll remember where you parked.
We've used that before.
So I mean, it has that. There's a lot of things in that app. Definitely do a deep dive on that before you go and really understand what's going on. But guys, this has been a fun one. I hope that you learned something. I know that we always joke around about how we feel like things are changing all the time, and how, even though we're quote unquote experts, we're not, because it changes on a dime. So we hope you learned something. And if we said something that was wrong because it's changed already, or if we said something because that's wrong because on Wednesday after we recorded this, it changed. Let us know.
Happened.
Put it in the. I think the last time we did a show about Genie Plus or whatever, they announced later that week that it was changing again. So make sure you put any tips you have down in the comments below, either on YouTube or Spotify or Apple Podcasts. And make sure you're giving us a follow over on Spotify so I stop getting yelled at. and go check out Rob's handiwork on TikTok and Instagram with some of our reels and stuff. We'd really appreciate that. But it's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow, and tomorrow's just a list away.
Tune in next time, and we'll see you real soon.